Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, we are talking college football betting this episode. So, Trey, what's the question?
Who are the best bets to win the Heisman Trophy?
All right, let's take a look at the odds. So I will give the top 7 here from FanDuel. We've got Spencer Rattler as the favorite at 8-1, DJ Uiagalelei 11-1, JT Daniels and Bryce Young at 12-1, and then finally Sam Howell, Matt Corral, and CJ Stroud at 16-1. So no surprise there, all quarterbacks. But first question for you guys is, do you think that Spencer Rattler, of course Oklahoma's quarterback, is the deserving favorite for the Heisman?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's there for a reason. There's a reason why he's the shortest odds. He's coming off of a fantastic freshman year, especially towards the end of the year. And he's got one of the best supporting casts in the country. He should have a couple of great receivers, especially Marvin Mims, who's I think's maybe one of the best receivers in the country. Theo Weiss, another great guy to throw to. O-line is a couple of question marks, but Oklahoma's O-line's been great for a while, and you just have to trust Lincoln Riley's system. When is it the last time Lincoln Riley and OU hasn't had one of the most elite offenses in the country? So they also get Kennedy Brooks back at running back. He should kind of help rejuvenize maybe the ground game that by quote unquote struggled last year for OU. So help complement, maybe things make a little more open for Rattler in the through the air. So I think he's deserving of the number one spot.
I agree. He does deserve it. You have to consider Oklahoma's recent Heisman success, of course, with Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and then even Jalen Hurts had a pretty solid year himself. Rattler's now a brand name, and you look at Oklahoma as a team, their expectations are as high as they've really ever been because people are really taking them serious as a serious title contender to win it all because their defense has finally come around. And I just overall feel like there's less questions at this point to be answered with Rattler as compared to some of the other favorites. Bryce Young hasn't really played. JT Daniels hasn't played a full season. Uiagalelei is there, but we've seen how even a generational talent at Clemson like Trevor Lawrence, that system doesn't necessarily always produce the numbers that an Oklahoma system would. So you got to put Rattler up there.
I agree with you guys. I think he should have the shortest odds. How about among those 7 players with the odds shorter than 20-1, who's the best value bet?
I personally think it's CJ Stroud at 16-1. I understand there's some competition for the job, but recent stories and all signs are pointing to him being the guy. We know that the Buckeyes are going to put out a good offense because that's what Ryan Day does. He consistently puts a good product on the field. And Stroud has 2 of the best receivers to throw to in college football, Olave and Wilson. And overall, as a team, I like how the schedule isn't impossible. They're the clear favorites to win the Big Ten, which would put the quarterback in position to be in New York.
I agree. Ryan Day quarterbacks are always awesome. They always put up big numbers just because of that system. And this year, I think this is the best supporting cast any quarterback in the country has, Ohio State. You mentioned the receivers. Offensive line is also arguably one of the best in the country. They were lucky to have Thayer Munford come back at tackle. He's got good ground game, I'm sure, behind him. Travion Henderson's a guy people have been talking about as a breakout candidate as a freshman. So tons of talent around him. As long as Stroud is even just pretty good, the numbers will be amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you guys that Stroud is kind of the number one choice there. But I'll, it's a close second, or at least number 2. I'll put Sam Howell. He's the same odds at 16-1. The question marks for him is he does lose his top 2 receivers and running backs, but he's got the entire offensive line back. And I think what will help him is he's got a defense that I think is going to take a pretty big jump. So it'll help in the win-loss column, which we know, of course, helps in the Heisman odds. So Sam Howell, even though he loses some talented receivers, is going to have – there's still talent there to work with. It's just a little unproven. So, and Sam Howell we know is great. So I think he'll put up big numbers, and I think he's actually a pretty good value bet still too.
Okay, how about some longer shots, guys that are 20-1 or more? Who would you take from that group?
I'm not going too far down the list in that range, but I'm going to say Derrick King of Miami at 25-1. Second year in Lashley's system, where they already improved in the first year. He's got Mike Harley, Charleston Rambo. They're good weapons on the outside. And he's got a couple platforms. He's got the platform in week 1 against Alabama. If they're able to pull off that upset, he'll vault to the top of the list most likely. But even if they lose, which they probably will, the Canes' schedule, it sets up to gather some wins and get another marquee opportunity against Ryan, that Sam Howell in North Carolina. And then he could get one more huge chance at the end of the year if they end up matching up against Clemson in the ACC title. I understand that's a lot of ifs, but it wouldn't shock me to see him there in New York.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I'm going with Bryce Hall at 40-1, or Breece Hall at 40-1 for Iowa State. I don't think Bryce Hall's going to win. No. So, I don't feel great about taking a running back, in this day and age winning the Heisman, but he did finish 6th in Heisman voting last year. He's got his entire offensive line back in front of him. Iowa State, of course, has a legitimate chance to make the playoff. And if they do, if they're making a run at the playoff, that's going to be one of the biggest storylines of the season.
Good point.
And I think
that's a good point.
They'll want to reward somebody on Iowa State. I think it'll be Bryce Hall. Obviously, Brock Purdy, he'll have to compete with, but I just don't think that offense is putting up the massive passing numbers. I mean, we saw what happened last year. It was Bryce Hall that was getting most of the attention.
Yeah, he got a ton of the carries last year, and the primary backup in Nwangwu is gone. So I think it's just going to be even more of a focus for Bryce Hall. So I actually agree. I put Bryce Hall as well, but I had a backup just because I figured one of you guys would take him. I'm going to go Anthony Brown at 60-1.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You got the Joe Moorhead factor, maybe in the second year of his system when, last year under the COVID year and there were some sit outs, obviously Penei Sewell. So there was some excuses last year for them not being all that great. But Brown looked good in the last game. There's got a ton of talent there, of course. The receiving core is very, very good. Probably the best in the conference and maybe nationally. I mean, outside Ohio State, but
yeah, I think the Oregon receiving core is underrated nationally.
It's very good. It'll be very good. Running backs are experienced and good. The defense should be good led by Kayvon Thibodeau. So, I mean, if they go ahead and win Pac-12, like Michael said, they're going to want to reward somebody most likely, and QB is the most sensible position for Oregon because I think they kind of split carries between backs. So, Anthony Brown I think is a decent shot at 60-1.
Did either of you guys think about Mechie at 100-1? He got an Alabama receiver last year. I didn't either.
I know, and he'll obviously be the top guy, but
they're going to compare all year his numbers or whoever the marquee receiver is. They're going to compare it to.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a pretty special dude to a receiver to win it, and I'm not sure they can do that 2 years in a row.
And I think Bryce Young is exciting enough that he will get some buzz too. Like last year, I feel like if his name wasn't Mac Jones and if he was coming in as a 5-star and, he might have won the Heisman. Like his numbers are the most efficient passing year ever.
It's true.
Obviously no problem with Devontae Smith winning, but I just feel like the excitement factor with Bryce Young could help him. But, all right, that'll do it for this episode, breaking down the Heisman. Let us know in the comments on YouTube who you would bet on to win. But we will be back tomorrow with our College Football Bros Top 25. So we'll see you then.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.